Okay, I think you guys can hear me. That's probably really loud. I probably scared everyone. There, I'll turn down. I'm in the other room, but I thought I would just pop on and do a little voiceover for a little bit. You're gonna hear the flower kittens in the background. They're just waking up. So I'm talking quietly because I don't want her to hear me. And I'm in another room because she's a feral cat and that would be stressful for her if I was in the room. So I'm trying to be quiet and not disturb her. But Bunny's gonna come help. So I think we are just transitioning into active labor. You can see the contractions have gotten stronger and are coming closer together now. So active labor starts when the first kitten enters the birth canal. And so now she'll start pushing hard to try to get the first kitten out. The first one's always the hardest. There's Puff Puff just coming down the stairs to check things out. Be quiet. Puff Puff. Make good choices. Trying to avoid any confrontations between cats out here. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is a rescue live stream for Tiny Kittens Society. We are located just outside of Vancouver, Canada, a couple of hours north of Seattle. And we mostly rescue feral cats. That's one of the flower kittens meowing in the background. So Serenity is a feral cat from one of our managed colonies, our biggest managed colony, where we have cataloged almost 300 cats. And so we do trap, neuter, return with them, spay and neuter, and we have, okay, all right, you two, come on. Go on. And we have awesome volunteers who go out every single day and feed them, and then anytime there's one that's sick or the pregnant ones we bring in, and we give the pregnant ones a safe place to have their final litter of kittens, and then we spay them and spay and neuter all the kittens, obviously, and depending on the mama cat, we will either adopt them into loving homes or return them to their home in the wild. So Serenity is progressing normally at this point. She's been having increasingly strong contractions all afternoon. And they've just started to get a little harder and closer together, so I think we're just starting active labor. I'm trying to be quiet because it's really important to keep their stress levels as low as possible, and she is a less confident feral, so any kind of household noise or disturbance could cause her stress, and so we are trying to avoid that by being quiet, except for my cats are being a little noisy. There's another cat in the room with her who has the nest next door. Her name's Nelia. She had kittens a little more than 2 weeks ago, and she had to have an emergency C-section, but she is doing really well, and she had 4 kittens, and unfortunately one of them went into heart failure a few days after she was born, but the other 3 kittens are very healthy. Those are some nice big contractions. So what we want to see now is a series of really strong contractions, so that we can get that first kitten out. We're expecting maybe 3 kittens, even though she's enormous. She's had an ultrasound and x-rays. The first one's always the hardest. It takes the longest. So we're hoping for a small litter of kittens, so she can just be done with this, and once she's spayed, her life will be 1,000,000% better. I don't know if you can hear Bunny purring. She's helping me narrate. So I'm not going to be interfering in the birth at all, unless she runs into trouble, and the only thing I would be able to do in that case is take her for an emergency C-section. But we're nowhere near that point now. Everything looks like it's progressing normally. So we are just waiting on some more big pushes, and then we'll probably meet the first kitten, hopefully. We don't ever know their stories, but I think she's probably had kittens before. I don't think this is her first litter. Typically the ferals around here have at least 3 litters a year. So if she's 2 years old, this is probably her 6th litter of kittens. Oh, look at her. It's always, the first one is always tough because sometimes they can't even reach back there. They're so big. So sometimes the births go really fast, sometimes she's so cute. Sometimes it takes more time, so we just have to see. She's so far been taking things pretty slowly, so there's some noisy flower kittens. Yeah, she definitely looks like she's over this whole thing, and who can blame her? So we always try to advocate for spaying and neutering, and if you love having kittens running around, sign up to be a foster parent at your local shelter, and that way you can be part of the solution and saving lives instead of contributing to cat overpopulation. We've had so many cats in here that would have died along with their kittens if we hadn't rescued them, and so you can prevent all of that suffering just by spaying and neutering and supporting your local trap, neuter, return efforts. The kittens have been sleeping all afternoon, and now they can see me through the stairway. They're being very rambunctious. Maybe I will go up and let them out so that they can entertain themselves. So I just gave the flower kittens a little snack. They're much quieter now. I can't do the voiceover. I am in a different room, but I can't do it from, I'm as far away as I can get, so this is the best it's gonna get. There are ways to increase the volume on your computer. Headphones help too. It should be plenty loud. There's also closed captioning being done by the moderators in chat, so if you can't hear, you can read the closed captions. Poor little catermelon, she's so big. She looks like a T-Rex right now. So this is the last time Serenity will have to do this. And if you can imagine, if she was in the wild, she would be having to go out and hunt for food. It's pretty cold outside right now, so her kittens would be at very high risk of freezing to death. Predators, all sorts of things happen to them in the wild. So the survival rate for kittens born in the wild is only 25%. So again, that's a lot of suffering that can be prevented just by spaying and neutering. Look at her little T-Rex arms. working hard. So this is the hard part. This first kitten will be the hardest. So we just have to wait and do some sympathy pushing with her. Their instincts are usually really good, but sometimes, especially with the ferals, their health isn't the best. And so there are lots of things that we've seen go wrong, but at least they're here where they can get help if they need it. And everyone will get spayed and neutered. Everything is progressing normally at this point. I don't have any concerns. She's grooming and she just ate not too long ago. So it'd be way less stressful if it was pre-recorded. Unfortunately, this is live and uncensored rescue reality. So I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm finding out along with you guys, but close enough to intervene if anything goes wrong. But so far everything is progressing normally. She's doing some good hard pushing. She just needs to keep that up. We've learned a ton about feral cats since we started working with them a couple of years ago. We currently have a whole bunch of them in our care. We brought one guy in a couple on Saturday, I guess it was, who has ringworm and a really wicked upper respiratory infection and a broken canine, and he needs a neuter. So and then we have Nelia, who's in the nest next door to Serenity, who just had kittens, and Suri. These are all from the same colony. She had kittens a couple weeks ago. My cat Bunny is taking this opportunity to use the litter box. I'll just wait. Good job, Bunny. It's very thorough. Yeah, she's definitely not stressed right now. She's calm and she knows what she needs to do. She's conserving her energy as much as possible. They're all a little bit different, but she's definitely well within the scope of normal right now. I would like for her to, give us some really big pushes. But the first kitten is always the hardest, and so she's gonna, here she goes with some more pushes. Bunny's still working on the litter box out here. There, she just got her hole dug. So no kittens yet. She's still working on the first one. Oh. My cat Bunny is she just finished her business in the litter box and now she's gonna bury it for the next 10 minutes. A little comic relief while we wait for some activity, some kittens. We're expecting 3 or so kittens. We don't know. One thing that I have learned over the years is we can have a giant catermelon with only a few kittens, or a small catermelon with 6 kittens. They're all different as far as how much fluid they retain, how much inflammation they have, how much food they eat. All that stuff makes a difference on how big they are. So she could definitely have 3 kittens in there, even though she's enormous. Good job, Bunny. Thank you for using the litter box. Serenity has been here quite a while. She was trapped. We were doing a bunch of TNR the last couple months, trying to do some maintenance at this colony where they came from, because there are almost 300 cats that have been cataloged there. Even though we have a 90% spay-neuter rate, that still means there are enough cats there reproducing and enough new ones show up that we need to continually do maintenance TNR. And so we were trying to get some in early spring before all the females got pregnant, and Serenity was in one of those rounds, and we do ultrasound them before we send them for their spays, just to make sure that they're not pregnant, and she was pregnant, so she's been here a couple of weeks. And then Nelia came in later, and then Suri and Sasha came in maybe last week or so. Oh, okay, hi. So because we provide medical care and treatment to the cats in our colony, they're quite healthy. For the most part, we do get, every now and then we get sick cats or injured cats, and we trap them and bring them in and treat them. And then sometimes they decide that life with humans isn't so bad after all, so we find them loving homes. And sometimes they make it very clear that they want to return to their homes in the wild. And so once they're healthy, we return them. And because we're out there every day feeding them and taking care of them, they're quite happy and healthy. We've learned a ton about feral cats since we started working with them. So we've gotten pretty good at handling them and medicating them. And for example, we just gave our newest TNR cat a ringworm bath on Saturday. There's some good pushes. I'm hoping we'll start seeing some activity soon. All feral cats are different as far as how they are with humans and how they react to captivity. Serenity is a much less confident cat, so she is more easily stressed and it takes her longer to recover from being stressed. Her roommate Nelia is a much more confident cat, but also a feral from the same colony. And so, for example, Nelia had to have an emergency C-section, and 11 days after her C-section, she started coming out at night and playing, which just lets us know that she's comfortable and feels safe in her environment. Serenity has been mostly staying in her nest the whole time, just coming out to eat and use a litter box. So I expect she will be quite happy to return to her friends and family in the forest. But you never know. Yes, Nelia is a very protective, ferocious mama cat. She's a very good mama cat. Serenity has a very good privacy tale going on there. Censoring our uncensored reality TV. It's not much better from up there. She's managed to find a position where she can actually reach back there, which is impressive. I haven't seen anything starting to come out yet, but we don't have great visibility. She's definitely doing a good job pushing, and she's gotten down to business, so everything's looking good so far. There we go. You can almost see. We've developed these prototypes, I guess, for working with the feral cats that helps us handle them in ways that are far less stressful for them and make it a lot easier for us to give them meds, and in the case of the pregnant cats, weigh kittens, and we often have to give meds to kittens and things like that. So it's important for us to be able to safely access the kittens without stressing out the moms too much. So that's what these nests have been designed for. They've sort of evolved over time. They have sliding trapdoors in the back opening so that we can watch on the cams, and when the mom goes out of the nest for a break, obviously after the kittens are born, we can close the door from outside of the room and then go in and weigh the kittens quickly, change blankets, things like that, and then let mom back in. And it's worked out really well for us. Way less stress for the cats. Lots of grooming to do. We didn't have a good idea of when she was due. So, I was going to give her a little shave to help, make things a little easier, but I didn't want to stress her out. She's looking really good. Everything looks normal. You can see she's alert and bright and grooming herself. Those are all good signs. We'll probably see as she continues to push and as hopefully the kittens come out. She'll get more and more exhausted, but right now she's looking really good. I think some fluid just came out and she's cleaning that off the blanket. We have been waiting a long time for this. This is probably one of the longest kitten watches ever because we just didn't know. Her ultrasound was early on, and then when we took her in for x-rays, she's been eating a ton, and she had so much food in her stomach, and it was hard to see the kitten, so we've sort of been just waiting. So I will be very relieved when this is over and when we know what we have. We're expecting about 3 kittens, which is good. We've been really lucky to have smaller litters so far because we took in way too many cats. But sometimes you just have to go with it. So we'll be very fortunate if she has a small litter for her last litter ever. One year ago today, the Oracuda was born, also to a feral mama cat from the same colony named Chloe. Chloe became socialized while she was here and got adopted into an awesome home, which is good because she has kidney disease. So she needs medical care for the rest of her life. So that was 1 year ago today. Aura was born with a severe cleft palate, cleft hard and soft palate. And so I tube fed her every 2 or 3 hours around the clock until her 267th tube feeding, when she swallowed the feeding tube, and then we had to immediately transition to kibbles. So it's been quite a roller coaster with Aura, but she turned 1 year old today and she's very happy and healthy. There's some good pushes there. She's definitely having some fluid and stuff coming out, which is again very normal, helping to lubricate the passage. Yeah, the roof of her mouth was basically missing. So, yeah, I guess all in all, I've gotten more sleep this April than I did last April. But we're kind of in the same situation with so many mama cats. Oh, there's Nelia. You can just barely see her. Her little nose in the opening. I think Nelia wants to be friends. And Serenity has been very focused on her napping schedule. Panting is normal, so if you see panting, don't be alarmed. Panting before, during, after. It can last for several weeks after they give birth. As long as they're caring for kittens and eating and drinking and everything like that, then panting totally normal. Not cause for concern. Oh, here's a different view for you. So Aura has had 2 surgeries so far. Her first one was a very groundbreaking surgery where she got a bone plate from a dog that was donated. Put in her palate to help stabilize it, and they sewed everything together. And that surgery went extremely well. There were just a few little holes left over, and so we had another little touch-up surgery done about a month ago, maybe. But unfortunately that hasn't, it held for a little while, but it's really tough to fix the little tiny holes, so in the meantime she's doing really well, but we may do another surgery on her in the future. So we're definitely making progress here. So we have lots of grooming going on back there. There's definitely been some fluid coming out, which is normal. Each kitten will be in its own amniotic sac with its own placenta. So they come out still in their sacs most of the time, and then Serenity will have to tear the sac open and start stimulating the kitten and clearing the nose and mouth to get them breathing and dried off and everything. She's doing quite a bit of grooming back there, so there's probably either more fluid coming out. We may have a kitten starting to come out. It's very hard to say. I can't see from her angle either, so we're all experiencing this together. Everything looks good though. Here's a close-up. Thank goodness though that this is her last time she has to do this, because you can see it's really tough. even after she's had several weeks of good nutrition and deworming and all of that stuff. And she has a safe place. There we can see. No kitten yet. But even with all of that and having food delivered to her and not having to hunt and all of that, it's still really difficult. So imagine having to do this out in the wild when it's cold and raining and she has to go hunt for food. That's why there's only a 25% survival rate for kittens that are born in the wild. And that's why we push so hard for spaying and neutering and to support trap, neuter, return programs, because that's the only way to prevent that kind of suffering is to spay and neuter. And if you love having kittens around, go to your local shelter or rescue and sign up to become a foster parent. And that way you'll be saving lives instead of contributing to overpopulation. Everybody wins. We don't know how many litters she's had before. I'm pretty sure this is not her first litter, but we don't know if the ferals in our area usually have at least 3 litters of kittens per year, so their bodies are chronically depleted, and once they start getting pregnant, they just don't stop. So it's really hard on them, and after a while, they just keep getting pregnant even as their bodies start to break down. So it's really, it's hard when we bring in some of the older ones that, like Chloe, for example, Aura's mom, who gave birth for the last time a year ago. When we brought her in, she had horrible dental disease and kidney disease and pancreatitis, and she just would have kept getting pregnant until her body gave out. And instead, she's happy and healthy and in a home, and with great medical care. She feels really good. Her kidney disease is stabilized, and she's going to have a great life. So everything's still looking really good. She's having some nice hard pushes. She's making progress. I haven't seen any kitten sac emerging yet, but she's pretty good with the privacy tail there, so she might surprise us. So if she keeps this up with these nice strong contractions and pretty close together, hopefully we'll have a kitten come out soon. Panting is normal, so that's not anything to be concerned about. It's just one of the realities of how hard it is for them to give birth. She's pushing really hard. I can see some, oh, poor thing. Poor monkey. Whatever works for, oh, those are some big pushes. I definitely see some fluid. I think we might have, oh, nope, I can't see. Let's see, here we go. All right, now maybe we'll be able to see something. Those were some very good acrobatic contractions. This is what I was expecting when Nelia went into labor, and then when she did not progress to this point, that's when I decided it was time for a C-section. So it's good to see Serenity working so hard. That's what needs to happen to get the first kitten out. But you can see it's definitely hard work. Very exhausting. So now she's got privacy foot. There's no reason to worry at this point. Things are progressing very, very normally. We're well within good time frames. She looks good. I have no concerns at this time. So there's no need to worry. We're just waiting for that first kitten to come out, and she's working very hard. So now if she continued to push this hard for a significant amount of time, then that would be a problem. But she's really just started pushing hard and fast, so I expect there, I think I see maybe a part of a sac coming out. I will definitely upload a video of the birth. She's got good instincts. She knows what she's doing. No, I did not see a kitten come out. I might have missed it, but I think I saw the sac starting to show, which means we're close. It's always a tough call. Let's see what we got there. Paw. I see assorted paws and a tail of her, not of kittens. I don't think we have a kitten out yet, but I'm hoping we're close. It's always a tough call when to bring them for a C-section, but we wait as long as possible because it's a really difficult procedure for the mom and for the kitten. The kittens. It's very high risk and very stressful, and so we only do it if it's if like I'm concerned about life or death. I will immediately take them in, but I try to give them as much time as possible. Because it's a million times better if they can get through it on their own. It's much easier for them. We're often tricked by wet paws and wet tails. They often look like kittens. So everything is still proceeding normally. Everything's looking good. I think she's just cleaning fluid off of her tail. It's all right if there is a kitten. She's attending to it. I can't see on my laptop. I am not seeing anything clearly that is obviously kitten, and I can't hear, so because I can't have my sound on, or you guys would have some wicked feedback going on. So if you hear kittens, then that might be a different story. But so far, all I see is tail. All I can confirm, anyway. Okay, well, we do have some reports of squeaks, so there are squeaks going on here. The flower kittens. You guys should. Oh, they've all lined up at the railing and are watching me. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, there might be. Let's see. What do we have? Let's see. There might be a little ginger. There is a kitten. Yep, we have kitten, you guys. Confirmation. Visual confirmation of kitten. It's on her tail. So, the placenta is still inside of her. So the kitten is still attached. She has cleared the sac, and she is working on, well, right now she's licking the blanket, but she's also working on getting the kitten breathing and getting the fluid clear. It's either a ginger kitten or possibly a calico like her. I'm trying to look and see if I can confirm breathing. If you guys have heard mewing sounds, that's a very good sign. I think I see breathing. Oh, yep, I do. Yep, we definitely have breathing. That's a good sized kitten. Oh, yay. So she'll continue to work on that. Looks like a dark ginger. Well, everyone, you can all breathe a big sigh of relief because the first kitten is always the hardest. And the fact that she got the first one out is very, very good sign. Here we go. There. Oh, she's working on the umbilical cord and the placenta right now. So she has passed the placenta. It's always important to make sure that you get one placenta out per kitten, because if she retains a placenta, that can cause a fatal infection. So, you guys are getting a great view of the placenta eating. There it is. So kitten number 1 is out, and so far so good. There you go. Good job. Okay, now that might be a little mini mama, or a dark colored ginger, hard to tell. But the important thing is that we have breathing, and movement. It looks like actually quite a good sized kitten, so I'm very relieved. It's almost always the first kitten that causes the problems. I shouldn't say that and jinx us, but we're making progress. She's doing a great job. She knows exactly what she's doing. That was some serious placenta eating. Good lungs. Good. Oh, look at her pushing mama. That's a giant kitten. Oh, look how cute she is. So cute. Oh, Amelia just came to say hi. That's interesting. Oh, it's interesting. Nelia is being nosy. We have had ferals help each other with birth before. It's pretty common for them to help each other raise kittens. So it's not at all unusual that Nelia would go check things out. I think if Serenity was more receptive, Nelia would probably help with the kitten. I see a question, are we not blood typing? I blood typed the moms, and all the moms so far have been type A, and so with type A we don't have to worry about the blood type mismatch problem. So I don't have to blood type the kittens. It's only when the moms are type B that we have to worry about the blood type. That's a big kitten. So now hopefully she's pushed the giant one out. Now maybe it will be smooth sailing for the other two. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna go release the flower kittens from their confines so that they will settle down. Ginger's making a run for it. She's gonna, I think, call him over closer to the milk bar. Here comes Nelia again. Oh, there she's putting him in the corner in a little timeout. Nelia just wants to get involved so badly. Oh. Alright, so now that the first kitten is out, she's protecting him or her. She will start working on the next kitten at some point. So far she's having a little rest. And hopefully she'll continue just lick the kitten and stimulate the circulation, breathing, and everything, and encourage it to nurse. Looks like he's making his way toward the milk bar. Nursing is really important for the newborn kitten. It helps stimulate contractions and milk production and all the good hormones. So hopefully kitten will figure out how to get latched on, and in the meantime looks like we're starting with number 2. He's trying to go back in. Now we'll see if hopefully the next 2 will be easier. Well, now Bartlett's peeing. Mason has come down also to check out what's going on. Cute. So far we have first kitten out. This is the last time Serenity will have to ever go through this. Second kitten is on the way. And once again, in case you missed this part, Serenity is a feral cat. So I am not in the room with her because that would be incredibly stressful for her. She's doing a great job on her own, and I am not going to be interfering with anything unless she needs help. But so far everything's going really well. And we have our first kitten out, second on the way. We're hoping for only 3 kittens, but we may end up having more than that. We don't know, or less, I guess. And I mentioned before that all feral cats are different and respond differently to captivity and to humans. Serenity is less confident on the sort of spectrum, and so she is more fearful and more easily stressed. So moving the kitten into the corner and sort of hunching over the kitten is a protective behavior. Oh my gosh, there we have more kittens meowing. I'm gonna go move the more flower kittens. Right. There's a lot of activity going on here. Okay, so what did I miss? Let's see. Still have 1 kitten working on number 2. Going the wrong way. Some more good hard contractions. show you Nelia really quickly with her kittens. So here's, well, I'm not going to do it now that she's pushing so hard. I was going to show you Nelia because she's being really cute, hugging all her kittens right now next door, in the nest next door. But I don't think we want this kitten coming out. These are some good hard contractions. There's a kitten coming out right now. So she probably knows, there we go. And a dark kitten this time. Kitten number 2 is out. She seems very perplexed by kitten number 1. Going the wrong way. Right. Get in there, Mama. Mason is sitting right next to me right now, watching the kittens be born. Alright, now she's getting to work opening the sack of the second kitten, while the first one continues to wander around. Hi, Dahlia. Oh, you're dehydrated. Hi. The flower kittens are coming down to visit me. We are overflowing with kittens. If anyone is looking to adopt kittens, we have another live stream with 5 orphan kittens, and then we'll have a bunch of, we'll have Nelia's kittens and Serenity's kittens, and more in the upcoming weeks. We do adopt out of our area, as long as you can come out and make adequate, acceptable transportation arrangements. Looks like she's still working on number 2, but I do see movement, which is good. So we have, it looks like a darker kitten, either a tabby or a panther kitten. Hey. Panther just sat on the camera. Hi. Yeah, she's not hurting the kitten by biting it. I think she's just being protective and trying to get him or her to the milk bar. As I said, she's more fearful and less confident, so she will probably want her kittens closer to her where she can protect them. She might be a little nervous because of Nelia coming in to visit her, although it's quite common for feral mama cats to raise kittens communally and to help each other with mothering duties. We've got some vigorous movement from kitten number 2. So she's doing great. She's actually made very fast progress. She's been in active labor for a little over an hour and has 2 kittens out, so that's very good. Everything's progressing very well. It's always stressful at the beginning, but this is why we wait, because often they just need a little more time to get things going. Nelia is more confident for a feral cat and more curious. She is a great mom, and so she may have been hearing kitten squeaks and just wanted to save the kitten. She may not have known. She just wanted to investigate, and she probably would have helped if Serenity was a little more receptive, but she's back in her nest nursing her own kittens right now. Maybe I'll do a little, or I'll show you Nelia real quick. This is Nelia with her 3 kittens and 2 kittens from another feral mama cat. She's in the nest next door to Serenity, and they're sharing a room. We found that our feral mama cats are less stressed and feel safer when they have company and in their house communally, so we try to bring them in more than one at a time so that they have each other. And then we've had mama cats who help each other, who take on each other's kittens. It's pretty neat to see. They're capable of pretty remarkable things if we just give them a chance. So we have 2 kittens out so far. One ginger, one darker kitten. Will be hard to know for sure while they're still wet, but she's working hard on cleaning. Oh, and then we just had another contraction. Moving right along. Looks like number 1 has gotten closer to the milk bar. I can't quite tell if the second placenta has come out yet. That could be what she was just pushing out. So we have 1 more pregnant cat in our care from the same colony, named Sasha, and she's not due for a couple of weeks, thank goodness. So we have a little bit of a break, which is great. The first week is always critical for especially the feral newborn kittens. We do see, unfortunately, a lot of congenital defects, and just because they don't get great nutrition, they've got heavy parasite loads. We don't know what their health history is. The moms are always pretty depleted because of chronic pregnancy, so it is definitely harder for these guys to survive. So the first week is always, we keep a really close eye on them. But in the wild, again, only 25% survive, so 1 in 4 would survive, and the other 3 out of 4 would die. So that's why it's so important for you to spay and neuter your cats. And as I said earlier, if you love having kittens around, become a foster parent at your local shelter, because then you can help save lives instead of contributing to the problem. And everybody wins that way. I have Snowdrop and Clary Sage from the Flower Kittens trying to attack me right now. So she's working really hard. She's doing a great job. Her energy level looks good so far. She looks bright and alert. She's having some more contractions now, possibly pushing out, I don't know, possibly pushing out placenta, or working on the third kitten. I can't quite tell from here, but everything looks good with kitten number 2. There, I think she's working on placenta now, eating the placenta, cutting the cord. The blood on the blanket is from the placenta, so it's nothing to be alarmed about. So just mentally prepare yourselves that I'm not going to go in and change the blanket immediately because I don't want to stress her out. I want her to get nice and bonded with the kittens and feel safe, and especially because her specific personality is so fearful and nervous. I don't want to do anything that is going to add stress to her. So in the wild, she would be, on the same bedding, whatever it would be, leaves and dirt and stuff. She would be on that the whole time. So having her birthing blanket in there for till tomorrow is not going to be the end of the world. I am probably going to go in and drop off some food for her in her nest, but it will be very quick, very quiet, in and out visit, and not until she's finished having kittens, obviously. Oh, look there, number 2 is looking pretty good, looking very black. I think we have Snowdrop and Snapdragon from our flowered kittens that are black, but this might be our first Happy Forest black kitten of the spring. Panther kitten. So we're looking good so far. Number 2 is definitely breathing. There, she's working on the placenta and the umbilical cord. Zoom in a little. Right. That's where it keeps coming and sitting on the microphone. Alright, so I feel like kitten number 2 might be hatched. That would be impressive. Oh boy, this is going well so far. I shouldn't say that, but I'm always a wreck until they're out and safe and healthy. So the fact that we got past the big C-section point is a relief. So far, so good. I wonder if she will. Well, that's quite a placenta string she's working on there. Is that someone's umbilical cord? I am a pro clutcher myself. It's definitely, like, I definitely understand it, having had to sit outside and watch on the cameras, and I even have more camera angles than you guys get to see, but I definitely understand, and I'm right there with you a lot of the time. So it's hard not being able to see. It's totally different when I'm in the room, but this is a roller coaster for all of us. The name theme for these guys is we're continuing the flower theme in honor of Stanley. Our current black kittens' names are Snowdrop and Snapdragon. So if we have another panther, we'll have to come up with another good name. I feel like number 2 is latched or close to. They look pretty latched, actually. Well, maybe not. So you can see she's panting because this is hard work. That's totally normal at this point for her to be panting, so that's nothing to worry about. Hi, Bartlett. Hi, Mason. Oh, Mason's chasing Bartlett. Mason's been full of beans today. So she's continuing cleanup. I haven't seen any big contractions. We will often have 2 kittens come out at a time and then a rest in between. So the feline uterus has 2 horns and the kittens line up in their individual sacs along each horn. So we usually get 1 kitten from each horn, and then we have a little rest period. Not always. Every birth is a little bit different, but it wouldn't be unusual if she took a little break now. It also wouldn't be unusual if she starts pushing again soon. So we'll see. But so far things are going very well. The kittens have to navigate all that floof to find the milk bar, but they look like they're trying and possibly successful. It's hard to tell. Hi, Mason. You're so cute. So if it makes you feel better about the latching, most breeders will take the kittens away while the mom's giving birth, and then when she's done, they give them all back to her, so they don't nurse immediately, and they all seem to do okay for the most part. So it's all right if they don't get latched immediately, but it is very helpful for them to get latched because it helps stimulate milk production and helps with hormones and contractions. So it's good that they're trying. She's been pretty busy, so they haven't had much of an opportunity to really get in there yet, but Oh my goodness. That's my cats you're hearing. They're all rambunctious tonight. I think we're all going to be glad to have this over with. It's been such a long wait for these babies. And she never has to do this again, so that's good. It's amazing the difference that a spay makes, just in their health and their well-being. We get to see them in their feral colony before they're spayed and neutered, and then we get to see them after. And after, it's amazing because their whole biological mandate has shifted, and they play and they lounge in the sun and they snuggle with each other, and they don't really have a care in the world. So it's pretty neat to be able to give that to them with just a spay and a neuter. Totally changed their lives. So her life has been all about making babies and keeping them alive and reproducing until now. And after this, it's going to just be about enjoying herself. So that's pretty cool. That's the power of TNR. Hi, Azalea. Did you come to visit me? You're stinky. You smell like poop. Did you just put your poop tail on me? Thank you. I would love to be able to go in there and weigh them, but I'm definitely not going to, because I am taking into account her personality, and I don't want to risk stressing her out any more than I have to. So I'm going to deliver food and just peek in really, really quickly and quietly. But that's it. That's all I'm going to do tonight, unless there's a reason for me to intervene at some point. But so far, everything looks really good. So we have 2 kittens out. We're expecting 3. Thank you to everybody who is tuning in. You can learn more about our rescue work at tinykittens.com or on Facebook. You can see our social media stuff at the bottom of the screen there, Tiny Kittens on Facebook and Tiny Kittens HQ on Instagram and Twitter. We do live stream our rescues 24/7 uncensored rescue reality TV, so you can always see what we have going on at any given time. Well, you can see some of it. We don't always have enough cameras and equipment to show everybody, but we try to show everything just because it helps us learn about them, and it helps us spread the word about spaying and neutering and responsible pet ownership. We work almost entirely with feral cats, and so we've had to learn ways of interacting with them and trying to understand them that go beyond a lot of the stuff you would traditionally learn about them online or at most shelters. So we've learned quite a bit and are pretty confident in handling feral cats and treating them regardless of whatever ailment they may have. we've been able to witness some pretty remarkable stories with our feral cats. Like, hi, Violet. Hi. Like Grandpa Mason, who's been stalking kittens. He's been really funny tonight. Yep, we had a blind feral cat who was super ferocious, but had toxoplasmosis and lost his eyesight very quickly, and we were able to treat him and restore his eyesight and get him healthy again. And Mason, who lives with me, and we thought had 4 months to live because he has pretty advanced kidney disease. But he has become a foster grandpa to all of our kittens, which is very cute. With Cassidy, the miracle kitten, who lost both of his back legs shortly after he was born and survived for 9 weeks in the forest before we found him. Calvin, who has one eye and is diabetic and is very happy living in a forever home with humans. Lots of good stories like that. Bartlett, come here. This is the quiet zone, Bartlett. Bartlett, we're being quiet down here. Oh my goodness. So anyway, we're still learning. We learn things with every new set of cats. Hi, Macy. Macy's right next to my feet right now. Yep, Radley had a horrible ear infection. Celia had a chronic ear infections that caused a polyp to grow that was obstructing her airway. And now she's happy and healthy in a home. Hi, Dahlia. So we've had quite a few. When I first started working with feral cats, I never would have thought it was possible to do the things we've been able to do with feral cats to treat them and get them healthy again. And also the number of adult ferals that we've socialized successfully and are super happy living in homes with humans. We've had quite a few come in with kidney disease that we couldn't release again, and so we had to socialize. And we've been lucky that they've all been happy being socialized eventually. And we're able to find really good homes for them where they get the medical care they need. Yep, Eveline was a tough one. But if you look on our YouTube channel, a lot of the stories of these cats are posted. There's more on our Facebook page. There's been a lot of kitten wash. Yes, Mustachio. Yes, the barn kittens. We've had so many. Nano, of course. Nerelix, yeah, so many good ones. And we learn something every time. But it's pretty neat. So we're trying to change the narrative about feral cats and show people that they are individuals and that they have value and are worthy of compassion and are capable of love and very strong bonds to each other and to humans. Yep, Tiberius. I posted about Tiberius on our Facebook page today in honor of Earth Day. He had a plastic jar stuck over his head for 3 days in 90-degree heat. So anyway, the moral of the story is that we need to start talking differently about feral cats and telling their stories. And that's what we're trying to do. Part of that is live streaming the births like this. And watching the kittens grow up and seeing how the moms interact with each other. We've got some more contractions happening. Maybe we're going to have number 3 soon. I will be very, very happy if we just have 3. That would be wonderful. And then she'll be done. She will not ever have to do this again. She'll raise her kittens and then she'll get a nice spay. And we'll see if she comes around to humans at all. But if not, it's alright, because we take really good care of the ferals in her colony. So either way, her life's going to get a million times better after this. We do have some really adorable bromances in the Happy Forest. That's our feral colony, our big one. Bromances. Once they get neutered, they become best friends. Very cute. She's looking very good. 2 kittens, the first two kittens are looking quite vigorous. I don't know if they've gotten latched yet, but she's been pretty busy, so Bunswell, come here, come here. I have kitten chaos surrounding me. Kittens and my cats and Mason. We're overrun with kittens. So, if you're just joining us, we have 2 kittens out and looking good so far. We're expecting hopefully just 1 more, but you never know if there's a mystery surprise kitten in there. Hi, Snapdragon. Snapdragon got rid of his collar. Try to be stealthy. That's true, Mason is my cat. We do have an Amazon wish list. It may be depleted at the moment because it's been a little busy around here. But we are always grateful for any donations. If you would like to support our work financially, you can do so at tinykittens.com/donate. But there are lots of other ways to help too that are not financial, because we know not everybody can afford to support us, and we know a lot of people support their local rescues, and that's all good stuff. So just sharing on social media is helpful, but of course donations are necessary for us to keep doing the work that we're doing. There's a close-up of kitten number 1. Pretty cute. Oh my goodness. Bunny's trying to play with kittens. She's doing a really good job protecting the kittens from all the cameras. Oh, look at her. Violet. Mason is literally sitting right next to me right now, surrounded by kittens. It's very cute. So you can see she had a lot of fluid, which is, I'm sure, part of the reason she looked so enormous. It's not uncommon with the ferals. They have lots of fluid. Probably not uncommon with any cat. We mostly see ferals though. Macy, you look so cute. Mason had a good play session earlier today. If you look in our YouTube videos, you'll see the Oracuda on her first birthday and the flower kittens and Mason all playing together. Very good. So we're having some more contractions now. Amelia is coming out of the nest again. She may, I don't know if she'll come over and investigate. I think she's just dying to know what's going on in that other nest. She's a very good little cat. Oh no, she's controlling herself. She's between the nests. Not sticking her head into Serenity's nest at the moment. Third kitten is not out. She's just preparing. She's had a few contractions, but nothing super significant. Here's Amelia's kittens real quick. Just because they're being so cute. These are 3 of them are Nelia's kittens and 2 are from another feral mama cat. They're in a nest next door to Serenity. Cute. How do we know when they've had all their kittens? It is partially just wait and see, and partially we have done an ultrasound and x-rays on her, so that ultrasound was too early for us to get a good idea of numbers, but the x-ray was about maybe 2 weeks ago, and they thought they counted 3 kittens. So sometimes there are kittens hiding behind like the stomach, well, like the intestines, and it's hard to see, but so we could have a surprise 4th kitten, but we think there are definitely 3 in there. Sometimes we don't get the opportunity to take them in for x-rays. And then we don't really know how many to expect, but it's much easier when we know, we have an idea of how many to expect. Yep, that did look like a latch for sure. So that's good. Looks like they're both, well, I don't know if number 1 is latched at the moment, but looks like number 2 is. Let's try this way. There's half of number 1 and a tiny bit of number 2. They're getting a wild ride. Number 1 keeps trying to go back in. Number 1 has little curly feet. So there's a good close-up of number 2. Looks like a panther from this angle. So Serenity is a feral cat, and that's why I'm not in the room with her, and I'm not going to be going in there unless I absolutely have to, except to deliver some food. So like I said, I've said a couple times, I'm not going to change her blanket tonight because it would be too disruptive and too stressful for her, so if that bothers you, you might have to just come back, check back tomorrow sometime, but because she's feral, I need to take into consideration her stress level and not do anything that's going to negatively affect her stress level, especially at this time. It's very delicate. It's a very delicate time. Hi. I'm going for it. Oh no. Uh-oh. Azalea just had a big diarrhea on the carpet. That's some uncensored rescue reality for all of us. Hey, that's not where we do that. We can do that here. This is enough trouble for me. No, let's not all start doing it in here. We have a good place for that to happen. It's called the litter box. Yeah, I know you can't always get to it in time. Okay, here. Now it's very stinky. Here, guys. Let's just have a look. Remember. Don't step in it. That is real life right there. Alright, you guys. Now everyone else is playing in the paper towels. So, hi, come here. You go stand up. Maybe it's time for you to have a nap in the room. All right, so she looks like she's resting at the moment. Number 1 does look latched. I can't tell if number 2 is. It's a pretty good close-up though. So that's very good. It's very good for her to get the kitten's nursing. Helps with her contractions and release hormones, and helps with the milk production. And the kittens are getting very good colostrum right now, which has lots of maternal antibodies, which will help protect them from viruses and disease. It is a very interesting color. Seems like a very dark auburn. We'll see if it's a boy or a girl. Eventually. I will try to weigh them tomorrow. I would like to weigh them tonight, but I'm not going to because I don't want to stress her out. Looks like we had a contraction right then. Hi, Macy. Your kittens are calling you. Number 3 might be in progress. Now let's see, maybe we get a little shot of testicles. Or not, I don't know. Probably not. Sometimes we can see on the camera. I don't see 2 colors though, so I think he or she is all ginger. So cute. I'm super curious how much they weigh, but I'm gonna restrain myself and not weigh them tonight, as long as they're all latching okay. Which so far looks like they're pretty good. So cute. I'm just warning you, but I like to have a clean blanket in there, but I have to weigh the benefits and the risks, and it's inevitable that if I leave the blanket in there overnight, we will definitely get complaints about it, and people telling us change the blanket and all this stuff. So I'm just warning anyone watching now who may be concerned about that that there's a reason that it's not going to be changed immediately. It's not due to negligence. And then hopefully if you see people asking about it in the chat and you guys have heard the reasoning for it, then you can help explain it to people who may not have been here for the part where I was talking about the blanket. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in once she's definitely done. I'm gonna go in and drop off some food in the nest for her because she's probably going to be quite hungry at this point. And normally, depending on the personality of the cat, I will try to deliver food during the birth at some point because it helps them keep their energy up. But in her case, I think it would be too stressful for her, so I'm definitely going to wait. We have one of our vet friends weighing in that they think number one is a tortie. So she's looking tired now, which is not unexpected. She's been working very hard and probably has one more coming. Hopefully this will be the last kitten she ever has to give birth to. And then she can be done, but we don't know for sure. There's some good contractions. All right. I'm just excited for her to be done. Their cute little face. Nelia has a very aura-like face, like she's got the same overbite and a very similar personality, aside from the feral part. Oh, kittens. That's the flower kittens meowing. Yes, she definitely has a Serenity has a resemblance to Sigma for sure. If you guys want to see the almost 300 cats from Serenity's colony, you can go to tinykittens.com/cats. I'll put the link in chat. And you can see all the different cats. And then you'll also see which ones have been adopted, and a lot of them have Facebook pages. So if you want to see what life's like after adoption for adult feral cats, you'll have lots of opportunities on that page. She's in the zone now. She's just waiting for it to be over. Conserving the little energy she has left to get that last one out. But everything's still looking okay, so it's not unusual for them to take a break of several hours in between kittens. So, but the fact that she's having contractions hopefully means we have number 3 on the way. At some point, we can get it over with, all of us. We would love to put cameras at the Happy Forest, but there's no power, no internet, and cell service is very spotty out there, so it's very close to the border, and so we can't unfortunately live stream from there. The volunteers do post videos when they go feed, though, quite often, so and there are lots of videos in our YouTube list and also on Facebook. Oh, poor little monkey, she's so tired all of a sudden. You can do it, little mama. You get a nice smooshy dinner delivered to you, and then you can rest. Poor thing, she looks exhausted. She's a trooper. So again, one of the reasons we broadcast this in all of its uncensored glory is to help get the point across how important it is to spay and neuter and to support your local trap, neuter, return efforts. TNR is the only humane way to control cat overpopulation. And you can make a huge difference just by spaying and neutering. And you guys will be able to come back and watch the kittens grow up. They'll be on from now until they get adopted. They'll be on the live stream 24/7, so watch them at work. Super productivity booster. You can watch them if you can't sleep. It's a good way to cure insomnia. Kitten therapy. They call it kitten therapy for a reason. There's some good contractions coming through. Can you imagine if she had like 6 or 7 kittens and she's already this exhausted after 2? That would be difficult. Our biggest Happy Forest mama litter was 8 kittens, which is a lot of kittens. Yep, it was Cisco. Cisco had 8. Cisco comes to the feeding station every day. She was a very fearful feral, more fearful than Serenity, although probably we weren't as good at feral cats back then. She was one of our first feral mamas, so we didn't quite have the system figured out back then. We're still evolving every time we have more, but we've learned a lot since then. So anyway, she was very, very fearful, but now she comes to the feeding station every day. She gets pretty close. She looks really good. Sloaney was the one that we built a forest for. Sloaney was our first feral mama cat, and so I was very concerned about the stress level because we had tried to foster some in a shelter and it didn't work out very well. And so I wanted to see if I could create a very low stress environment. So brought in like logs and ferns and dirt and stuff from the forest so that she would have familiar smells and things around her. And she did great and was very ferocious. And so, and this was again before we knew much about feral cats. So we spayed her and returned her, and I think it was about 18 months later, she decided that humans were okay after all, and so we brought her back in, and she's now living the life of a pampered princess in a home with her own family. And there's more contractions. Sloaney was super fierce, super confident, and Cisco was very fearful and not confident at all. They're all different. All the ferals are different. Everything is progressing very normally. at this point. We have 2 kittens out that are looking quite good. I think both have latched. Definitely number 1 has latched. I'm pretty sure number 2 has latched also. We're hoping that we only have 1 more to go, but you never know. We've definitely had some super ferocious, protective feral mama cats. Sable was the one that charged, although Sloane also did a few times. Sabina was more fearful, but like panicky fearful, like she would climb walls and stuff, so we had to be very careful with how we approached her also. The Happy Forest is what we call the place where these cats all come from. It's we have a lot of rural property out here, a lot of farms, and most farmers unfortunately still use what they call the farmer solution to control cat overpopulation, which is not humane. And this particular property owner is very compassionate toward the cats and wasn't doing anything inhumane to them and was in fact feeding them, and the population very quickly got out of control, and so we've been working for almost, well actually for 4 years now at this colony. We've been there every day, and we've gotten most of them spayed and neutered, but we're still trying to get that last 10%. We don't have access to all of the areas where the cats live, so it's a slow process, but it's quite a nice place to live if you're a cat. So we don't feel too terrible when we return them there, because we are there. We do have people there every day feeding them, and if anyone gets sick or injured, we bring them in. But it's not fair to keep them in captivity when they're happy and have friends and family out in the forest. So we try to do what's best for each individual cat based on their individual needs. And then we've also learned that sometimes it's just a question of timing, and if they're not ready for life with humans when we have them in, a lot of them will come around after we return them, and then we can bring them back in and get them adopted out. So it's not always easy, but so she's having a little rest. She's got pretty big ears there. If she wasn't so floofy, they would look even huger. So huge. I think huge is a word. That's a reflection of how exhausting this has all been the last few weeks. So it is perfectly normal for them to have a rest for a couple of hours, or less commonly, 24 hours between kittens, but hopefully, I think we humans would all prefer for her to just get it over with, but she is still within the parameters of normal and doing well with the first two kittens. And we have seen a few contractions, so meanwhile, in the other nest, there's Nelia with her three kittens and two of Surrey's kittens. This is another happy forest mama cat who gave birth a couple weeks ago and is sharing a room with Serenity, but obviously has her own nest. But they have a common area that they share. She's such a good mama. Nelia is much more confident than Serenity. She had to have an emergency C-section and had 4 kittens, but unfortunately one of them went into heart failure a couple of days after she was born. But the other 3 are doing really, really well. And 11 days after her C-section, she started coming out at night and playing like a wild woman in the middle of the night. Very cute. So she's definitely feeling safe and comfortable. And she was spayed during her C-section, so she's already starting to feel the effects of having a different biological mandate. So this is what Serenity has to look forward to once we get through the hard part. So as far as colors go, colors carried on the X chromosome, so girl kittens have 2 X's, and so they get 1 color from mom and 1 from dad, and boy kittens have only 1 X, and they get their color from their mom. There's some more contractions. Little ones. we gonna have another somersault contraction, or is she just repositioning? Oh, maybe just repositioning. She's keeping them so safe in the corner there. So after Serenity, we have so far only one more pregnant barrel that's here, but luckily, thank goodness, we have a few more weeks for her to go, so we will get a little break from the constant kitten watch. There was another little contraction. Amelia's crew is being very rambunctious right now. Boy. I'm exhausted from just watching her. That's a flower kitten squeaking. It's Clary Sage. I will post the birth video. Actually, maybe I'll post a clip of the first ones now, so I don't forget. And then we'll see if we get any more. I mean, I'm pretty confident we're going to have another one, but Here's a little inspiration for her. Oh my gosh, so cute. Look at them. Oh, so full. These are Nelia's kittens. Nelia is in the nest next door to Serenity, and they are sharing a room. They're both from the same feral colony. But Nelia had her kittens via emergency C-section a couple of weeks ago, and has also adopted 2 kittens from another feral mama cat. So she's just in the same room but different nest. We needed a little kitten break. Oh, so cute. While we wait for Serenity to make her next move. So you can watch all these kittens grow up on our live stream 24/7. It's great to watch at work to really boost your productivity. And then we will be looking for wonderful homes for all of them when it's time. Serenity has curled herself into the tiniest ball. She probably hasn't been able to be that tiny in months. I am going to give Nelia a couple of days with the 5 kittens to make sure that her milk production is able to keep up, and also give the other mama cat a chance to reduce her milk production, and then we will try the other 2 kittens with Nelia and see how that goes. Suri, the other mama cat, is pretty stressed out being in captivity, and she's not as diligent of a mother as would be ideal. So if Amelia's like a super mama, has already tried to steal Serenity's kitten when it was mewing, so she loves the kittens, and so sometimes we will try to shift things around a little bit to get the if one of the mama cats would be much happier being spayed and returned sooner, we try to do that. Or sometimes we have mama cats that aren't producing milk. We have all sorts of things, so it's nice that we've learned that most of the moms are more than happy to help out with kittens that aren't their own. And Nelia has been an extremely wonderful mama cat. Why do I think their lives are better once they're spayed and neutered? Well, we get to watch them in the forest at the feeding station when they aren't spayed and neutered, and they're always trying to reproduce. That's all. That's their only goal in life is to reproduce, and it's really stressful. It's hard on their bodies, and they don't have any time to just play and relax and enjoy life. And then we bring them in and spay them and neuter them, and then when we return them, we get to watch them sort of realize that there's like sun to take naps in, they get to play, they get to have fun and enjoy life, and it's pretty neat to see. So, and that's in addition to there are very well documented health benefits to spaying and neutering them. It can prevent cancer and all sorts of stuff. So, and then of course the big benefit is that then they're no longer contributing to cat overpopulation. So there are lots of reasons. Hopefully that answers your question. I will wait a long time. There's a wide range of what's normal between kittens. So it will be not as much a question of time, but a question of how Serenity is behaving. And if she seems like she's having trouble, then I will take her in. But at this point, I don't have any reason for concern. She is grooming herself. She's taking care of her 2 kittens, and probably the other kitten or kittens just need to move further down and closer to the birth canal, and that's what she's having smaller contractions to move them into position. There's contractions right there, and then once they get to the birth canal, then she'll start pushing a little more frequently, and then hopefully we'll have one. But it's pretty common to go several hours between sets of kittens. Usually they'll come in sets of 2 because the feline uterus has 2 horns, and the kittens line up along each horn in their own individual amniotic sac with their own placenta. So usually we'll have one from each side of the uterus and then a little break in between. So it's pretty standard to have 2 pretty quickly and then wait a bit and then to have the next 2. So there's no reason for concern at this point. She definitely seems tired, but she's still pushing and she's still cleaning kittens. She's not, we've had a few mama cats that have gone into kind of like a, trance sort of. Sorry, I'm tired and now I can't think of words anymore. But you can tell they get so exhausted. They kind of zone out for a while. You can see she's grooming, so she's not at that place. And so I think we're still in good shape. There's some more contractions. So funny how she's so scrunched up in the corner. Yeah, and we've had some mama cats that have just had them so fast, which is amazing. Yes, Eveline did that. She was just, her poor little body just couldn't handle it. Neelix went 11 or 12 hours between, was it second and third kitten? She's definitely in a protective position. As I've mentioned before, she's on the spectrum of feral cats that we've seen. Everyone is different, but she's definitely on the more fearful, less confident end of the spectrum. So she's pretty nervous and being very protective, which is a great sign again that her maternal instincts are working, and she is caring for her kittens, and she's so little. We started working with feral cats in the spring of 2015, like actual feral colonies. So not that long, but I guess it's been about 4 years now. So, and we've learned a ton since then, and are always trying to test our assumptions. And we've been wrong about at the beginning we were wrong about basically everything we thought we knew, which is what we had learned online. We had tried to do as much research as we could, and everything that we thought we knew was pretty wrong. So we're just always trying to observe and understand them better and tell our stories and help other people see what they're capable of, and that they can be cared for, and you can give them medical care and socialize adults and all the things that traditionally people have not thought were possible. So she's still working on kitten number 3. Well, she's sort of taking a break and slowly working her way up to kitten number 3. So she's still having contractions, but they're not super close together. So we're probably just getting the next kitten into position. Can she make herself any smaller? That's a very protective posture she's taking right now. Also very tired. There's kittens, Nelia's kittens being cute again. Oops, what happened? I think she's having contractions. Maybe she can push better from that position too. Grandpa Mason definitely would have been euthanized anywhere else because of his diagnosis of kidney disease and how feral he was when he came in. But look at him now. Can you imagine if the world had not gotten to witness him and what he was capable of? And is still capable of? He's doing great. There is a placenta for each kitten. The lights get dimmed at night, and the cameras are really good at adjusting for low light. I haven't gone in to turn the room lights off, because I don't want to disturb her, but so far none of them have been bothered at all by having the low lights on at night and the regular lights on during the day. This is a lot of feral cats will do this stance to protect kittens when they're exhausted or scared or stressed. She's obviously quite exhausted, but it also might be a better position for her to push. Oh goodness, we have a flower kitten that's full of woe up there. There's we have video from earlier today of Mason with Aura on her first birthday and the flower kittens being very adorable, so that you can see how well he's doing and how cute he is. He still won't let me pet him unless I use the Trojan kitten method, but he's quite happy. Oh, look at her, she just fell asleep. So, I need to start doing my evening rounds over here. So I'm going to turn the audio off for a while. I'm assuming I will definitely be watching very closely, so if anything starts happening again, I'll come back, or I'll come back and chat at least. But so far everything looks good, and she may rest for a little while. I'm debating, because she's sort of in a quiet period, whether to drop off some food very quickly to give her a little more energy. Poor little thing, there's a contraction. She just wants this to be over. Can you imagine her having to do this in the wild, and then she has to go out and hunt for food? And it's, let's see what the weather's like right now. 9 degrees, so 48 degrees Fahrenheit. 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and she would have to leave wet kittens to go find food. And being so exhausted, she would be extra vulnerable to predators and cars and mishaps. So spaying and neutering prevents this from happening in the wild. She's guiding them to the milk bar. Oh, look at her. There we go. So at this point, the only thing that we can do is wait. We just wait and keep monitoring her.